Surprise Comics.
This Friday over on Whatnot at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we're doing $1 starts on over 50 slabs. Link down in the description to get $15 towards your first purchase. We're having a ton of fun and I hope to see you there. So this video, we've got an awesome set of books that came back. These books came out of the $40,000 collection that I recently purchased. I'll put a link down in the description to that video. And I'm almost done processing that whole collection. All the slabs are gone. All the raw books have been processed. Almost all of these came out of that collection and have just come back from CGC. And there's another set of about, I think, 75 books from that collection that are coming back next week. And then I think I'm done processing this collection. There's just like a few stragglers. So that'll be interesting. Maybe I'll do a video about that showing just the whole process and how long it actually took and all the financials and stuff behind it. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if that's something that interests you. Doing so will enter you to win this month's giveaway for 2 CGC 9.8 slabs of Secret Wars. And if you head over to bricecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter over there, you'll be entered to win an additional 2 slabs every single month, a new giveaway. And that's where I send out new stock like this and discount codes and all kinds of stuff at bricecomics.com. So this book is all modern tier stuff. And the way CGC works, they have the modern tier as 1975 and older. So even though stuff from 1975 is full swing Bronze Age books, it's just the modern tier as far as CGC is concerned. And so what I've noticed recently with modern tier submissions is that they're not getting graders notes, or very rarely. There's only one book in this entire submission, and there's like 30 or 40 books that we have here that actually has graders notes, and also only one 9.8. And so it's incredibly frustrating as collectors, as dealers, as just anybody in the hobby to not know how CGC arrived at the grade that they did. I don't think that anyone would argue that it's well within reason to think that if you're gonna pay a third party to subjectively grade something, that they would tell you the rationale and the reason that they arrived at the grade that they did. The reason that I bring this up, because I know this has been like an age-old problem, the reason I'm bringing it up again is that we've had recent success with CGC in getting them to address our needs and our concerns as collectors. We had the recent success with the C2E2 grading stance, and they changed midstream of their entire grading stance after like doubling down again on how they decided, and then full swing change midstream, which I just did a recent video on that if you missed that whole thing. So we had that recent success, and we also had the recent success of them adding a QR code to the back of the slabs that can be scanned by anyone and free graders notes to anyone. You don't need an actual tier. The problem is so many books don't have notes. and so what good is a QR code on the back of the slab if it goes to a blank page or says graders notes don't exist? My question to you, and I want to hear from you guys, leave a note down in the comments. Do you think that this is the next battle that we could possibly win? I mean, this is a really important thing that a lot of collectors really care about, is to know the actual reason and the notes on how a book arrived at the grade it did. And with our recent success, do you think this is another battle that we can actually win if we bang our drum hard enough? Or are there other things at work, other reasons why they don't provide the notes that will never actually get passed? I think that it is something that is possible. And I don't think that it's too cumbersome of a task. I think that with today's technology, they could streamline this into the grading process without it actually taking any more time. For instance, they could have like a voice dictation thing. When the grader is sitting there grading the book, he can hit record. It automatically connects to the books that he's grading, and he's looking at it, and he can say, okay, light spine stress lines, and it just automatically dictates into the notes. And then it goes, moderate creasing bottom right corner, and then at the end, just check and make sure. I mean, it could be, seamlessly integrated to where it's not a huge time suck and a reasonable thing to add graders notes to all books. But anyways, we're not going to let perfect be the enemy of good. These are still incredibly awesome books, incredibly awesome collectibles, decent grades, really fun stack of books to look at. And with that said, let's hop into it. So we're going to start it off here with the one book in this entire 2 stacks that actually had graders notes, and it's Thor Annual number 6, came back in 8.0 white pages, and the graders notes say miscut, light bends to cover, light spine stress lines to cover, light staining to cover, and light staple rust. And this cover has a really bad overhang, I think on all edges, but especially this edge. You can see this edge of the cover is just folded over, and it goes pretty much the whole length down of the book. And it also has light spine stress lines, light staining, and light staple rust. So here you can see the staple rust coming through. These square bound books have the staples inside of the cover, and then the cover is actually glued because it is a square bound book. Which makes it really difficult to press these things. And the miscut. The miscut is the biggest thing you can really tell from this back cover. Look at how bad that miscut is. It just chops the book that way, and the miscut down here goes this direction. So here's the thing on this book that's kind of funny to me is I took one for the team on this. Because I knew that it was going to get downgraded because of that severe miscut, but I wasn't sure how much it would get downgraded. The funny thing about this book is I bought it from Comic Connect as a 9.6. All right, this was like 2 or 3 years ago. I bought it raw as a 9.6, and when it showed up, it had this drastic miscut, and I was like, what? How could this possibly be a 9.6? I'm not sure how they are with the rest of their grading, but it was an absolute fail on this one. They called it a 9.6. It came back an 8.0. This book, I consider an absolute win. When I saw this thing, I was shocked. It came through in this collection. Swamp Thing number 153 came back a 9.8 white pages. Just a super controversial cover, super controversial book. I went and read the book and I'm like, whoa, this came out in 1995. There's no way they could do anything like this book today. I think this book actually might even be undervalued because of that. But the thing about this that's crazy is, you know, it's not like a golden age book from the 30s or 40s or 50s where you got Captain America, you know, fighting Nazis on the cover. That would be cool to put up on your back wall. You know, the Nazis are getting their asses handed to them or something. But this one, if I put this up on the back wall, people would be like, why do you have a swastika on your wall? Like it almost looks like it's glorifying it. So super controversial cover, super tough book to get in 9.8 because of this dark back cover. But this thing is absolutely perfect. It's just super tight. Super happy this came back at 9.8. Dr. Afra number 1, this is the 1 per store sketch edition. This book is tough to get in 9.8 because it's a thicker book, and here you can see a spine tick right there. And also really bad on these books is color rub along the back. This one isn't too bad, but you know, 9.4, 9.6, you can't really complain in between that range there. Amazing Heroes Swimsuit Special number 2. This is an absolutely awesome book. If you have young ones in the room under 10, there's a slightly erotic back cover, so maybe avert their eyes as I flip this over. Not too bad, nothing crazy, but just a really awesome book. I actually read this thing. It was so interesting, so cool, such a cool cover. Really tough to get in 9.8 because it's incredibly thick. And here you can see how thick the case is compared to a regular case. It's a really thick book, super difficult to get in high grade, and the reason that this one came back in 9.4 is a little bit of a crunch right down there on that corner. So I was bummed about that, but happy that it was in as good a condition as it was. Something's Killing the Children number 1. This is the 4th print. I think it's the only book in this batch that came back at 9.8. DC Comics Presents number 49. Just an awesome early Black Adam appearance. 8.5 white pages. No graders notes, but there's definitely, you know, stuff going on with this book. We've got like a light staple tear that radiates there, some wear and stuff. So maybe just slightly more than just your average light spine stress, which dropped this down to the 8.5 range. 8.0 on Quivers number 1, white pages. This is the first published work for Brian Michael Bendis. Super hard to get in high grade. This book has a crease right here, which we tried our darndest to get that thing out. That's the main thing wrong with this book. I don't think we gave it a full-on humidity chamber treatment because it's a super weird paper stock, and I was afraid how it would react. in the humidity chamber. So it is what it is. We tried our best to get that stubborn crease out to no avail. New Mutants Annual number 2, first US appearance of Psylocke, 9.0 white pages. And this book definitely has, you know, some light spine stress lines on the front and the back. This one's kind of severe. 9.0, was hoping for a little bit higher than that, but you know, without Greater's Notes, maybe there was something else going on. This one's kind of perplexing. Batman 423 and an 8.0 with white pages. I would assume that it has to be something like, I mean, of course, I knew it wasn't a 9.8. And there's, you know, some spine stress and stuff going on, but an 8.0 was definitely surprising to me. There must be like staining or something going on with this book to give it the 8.0. I was hoping for a little bit higher than that. Iron Man number 170, first full James Rhodes as Iron Man, 9.0 white pages. I was also hoping for something higher on this book. I mean, the back spine is super tight. Not a lot of spine stress, not a lot going on with, oh, maybe that's it right there. So some creasing and stuff going on here in this part of the book. Is probably what dropped it down to a 9.0. First issue special number 5. This has got to be the stupidest name for a comic book I've ever seen. First issue special is the actual name of the series. It's the 5th issue. It's not the first issue. This is just the stupidest name ever. It makes it super hard to even find this book online and stuff. First appearance of Manhunter, 9.4, and it's got some, you know, minor spine stress lines along the spine, which is why I got the 9.4. Happy with that grade. Batman Special number 1, 9.6. I thought this was just an absolutely epic Batman cover, and it was so minty. I had to send it in. I was hoping for a 9.8, but there is some very light spine stress lines, which gave it a 9.6. I've certainly seen spine stress lines like this in a 9.8, so it was kind of a toss-up, and we did not come out ahead on that one. 9.4 white pages, newsstand edition of Sensational She-Hulk number 1, Origin of She-Hulk Retold. Just such an awesome cover. It's got She-Hulk holding She-Hulk number 1. If you don't buy my book this time, I'm going to come to your house and rip up all your X-Men. Just such a classic cover, awesome cover, tough back cover with this all black. And there's just some minor things going on with this book, like spine ticks and whatnot. So here you can see on the front the light spine stress lines that probably held this back from getting a 9.8. Here is a 9.6. Another classic, Sensational She-Hulk number 34 cover, Vanity Fair homage from August of 1991. So this book came out in December of 1991. The Vanity Fair issue, I believe it was Demi Moore, came out in August of 1991. So it's really interesting to see that they were still homaging stuff even all the way back in 1991. So it's been going on actually way longer than that, but really cool little piece of history. 9.6, just some minor spine stress lines along the spine. Giant Size Power Man number 1. This is such an awesome book, just such awesome Luke Cage art. This is a really fun read too. If you have a Marvel Unlimited or can buy a reader copy of this, it's worth picking up just for the read. The back pinup cover of Luke Cage is epic in this book, and I'm a sucker for giant size books. I'm a sucker for square bound books. There's, you know, a little bit going on here with the spine. It's actually not that bad. It's just, you know, it's a square bound book. It's just a little rippling, really hard to press these adequately, but none of that breaks color. You can tell that this book had never actually been read. Okay with the 8.5. I could see myself falling into a trap and collecting all of the giant size number 1s, which wouldn't be much of a trap. It would be absolutely awesome to own all those, but obviously some of those get really expensive, like giant size X-Men number 1. Batman Beyond number 1 and 9.2 white pages, just some minor spine stress that held this book back from anything higher. Again, I knew it wasn't a 9.8. Here's an 8.5 white pages, Action Comics number 500 with that awesome Infinity cover. And this one also had a really nasty overhang as you can see right here. And so I think that's what kept it out of the 9.0 range. Then we have Sunfire and Big Hero 6, #1, the first appearance of Big Hero 6. I knew this wasn't a 9.8, some minor spine stress lines along the spine. So happy with the 9.6. Darth Vader #1. This was just such an awesome Del Mundo incentive cover. I had to get it graded. I mean, look at that cover. I knew it wasn't the 9.8, so I'm happy with the 9.4. All black cover like this. The biggest thing on this one is this little ding down here in the corner. The Crow #3, 9.2, second print. So when I saw this in the collection, I knew I had to get it graded just because of how iconic this little run of Crow books was in this series. All black cover, super difficult to get in 9.8. There's plenty of stuff going on with the spine on this one to justify the 9.2. And then here's the 9.2 for the Crow #4, the final issue in this series. First print, also just stuff going on with the spine, causing this to get the 9.2. So happy with the grade on that. This was a really fun thing to see all these come back. I'm glad I got these graded. Akira #5 and a 9.6. So I believe there's actually an issue #6 to this, but I have 1 through 5 here. And these are those square bound books. And these things were nearly perfect, but they just had a little bit of wear going on with the spine on some of them. So I didn't know if any were going to get the 9.8, and I'm actually really glad that 2 of them did. So #4 got the 9.8, really sharp copy of that. #3 got the 9.6. They all got white pages. Really clean, just minor stuff going on with the spine and a little bit of color rub here and there just from, you know, being a thicker book. Here's #2, it actually got the 9.8. Really awesome cover. Love this little series. And #1 got the 9.6 white pages. So super happy with sending these in. You know, I was just glad none of them came back like 9.0 or something, but I knew they were all super sharp. So Uncanny X-Men #160, this is the first appearance of Adult Ilyana, also known as Magic. It's a newsstand edition, came back 9.2 white, and there's just some spine stress lines and some light wear on some of the edges and the corners, which is why this got the 9.2. 9.0 Web of Spider-Man #118. These books are tough to get in 9.8. There's just some spine stress, a little bit of wear around the staples, and here you can see you know, some spine ticks along the back. So definitely okay with the VF/near mint designation for that book. X-Men #171. This is when Rogue joins the X-Men, came back a 9.0 white. Was hoping for a little bit higher on this, but what kept it back, it's got there's probably like a 9.4 with the spine wear, maybe a 9.2, but on this staple you can see that there actually is a little bit of light staple rust. That's something that we often forget to check as collectors when we send stuff in, and if it's not listed in the notes, you know, it's really easy to miss that, but it does have light staple rust. A 9.2 white page Alpha Flight #1 newsstand, and this book has a little bit of spine stress. There's a little tick right there, and then the thing that I probably didn't see when I sent it in was this corner here has a little bit of wear, which is what I think dropped it down to a 9.2.
So there you have it, guys. Don't forget, most of these books are available at brycecomics.com. Use code COLLECT10 for 10% off. Follow me over on Whatnot, link in the description for $15 towards your first purchase. Hit me up over on Instagram. I've got a lot of stuff going on over on Instagram, trades for grails, fresh content over there. Subscribe to the channel, comment, and like this video for your chance to win 2 free slabs this month, and sign up for that newsletter at brycecomics.com for another chance to win free slabs. Thank you so much for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bryce Comics.